Xi is going to tell Trump, you're not the exceptionals anymore. We're in charge. You're not going to tell us what to do. That, to me, is what's going to happen. By the facts, by the data and the facts, China is going to be number one. And you're also going to be looking at the death of the dollar.
America still commands the world's most powerful military, issues its dominant reserve currency, and produces many of its most advanced technologies. But those advantages are no longer uncontested. While Washington confronts another costly Middle Eastern conflict and tries to maintain stability in its bond market, China is narrowing the technology gap and strengthening the industrial base behind its global influence. Gerald Celente believes these developments are connected. His warning is that America could exhaust itself protecting the system it created while its principal competitor prepares for the system that comes next. But what does the evidence show? And what would declining American leverage mean for people inside the United States?
They're intervening because the economies are going to crap and they can't handle it. And this is all fake junk right in front of everybody's eyes. And we are heading, this isn't going to be, we just had the Great Recession. Once upon a time, there was the Great Depression. This is going to be the greatest depression. Trends are born, they grow, they mature, reach old age, and die. Tracking trends is the understanding of where we are, how we got here, and where we're going. And you make connections between different fields. All things are connected, like the blood which unites us all, as they used to say. So let's go back. Let's go back to 2020. China launches the COVID war. Get back in your house. Don't go to work. Here's free money. Here's free money. Hey, we're bringing the interest rates down to zero, pumping the economies up artificially. Oh, what happened in the United States? Oh, the debt level increased what? By how many trillions of dollars in 10 years? Again, all of these countries that locked down artificially propped up their economies, and now it's hitting home. This is artificial crap. This is all crap. The markets are ready to crash. They're way overvalued. This is going to be a crash worse than the 1929 market crash. They're way overinvested. Trends are born, they grow, they mature, reach old age, and die. AI became to the world officially only 4 years ago in 2022. You don't invest all your money in the infant. And that's what they've done. China's going to lead the world in AI. They're already leading it. It's hardly reported. Go back to 2025. Go back to January. DeepSeek comes. What's a DeepSeek? Oh, what happened to NVIDIA's stock that day? Oh, it only went down, what? They lost $600 billion, went down 17%. Oh, forget it. It's out of the news. Who's using more AI? What country? Oh, China's AI is being used by everyone more around the world. It's cheaper, as efficient, or more efficient than the US AIs. There's going to be a dot-com bust. It's going to bring down the global economy. Said the Strait of Hormuz is open. And, oh, by the way, when Bessent told CNBC that the strait was open, Brent crude fell 6%. All right? Now, as we're on the air, Brent crude is what, about $93 a barrel. It was $76 a barrel when he lied 2 weeks ago. They're rigging the markets, doing everything they can to prop them up artificially. Then it's not going to work. Again, this war is going to keep going on.
The Treasury action Celente describes is real, but its stated purpose requires clarification. On August 19th, the Treasury announced that it would at least double the maximum size of certain long-term bond buybacks, from $2 billion to $4 billion per operation. Treasury says these purchases are intended to improve liquidity in older securities. But the deeper pressure is the amount Washington must finance. Federal debt has now crossed $40 trillion, while the Congressional Budget Office expects federal deficits, interest costs, and debt relative to the economy to continue rising.
No, it could be anything. They'll make up something. Again, you talked about hating Iran. This is one of my books, Trend Tracking, far better than Megatrends Time magazine. I write about how he became a political atheist when in 1978, when the revolution started happening in Iran. 99.99% of the people had no idea of the United States and Great Britain's overthrow, the democratically elected government of Mohammad Mossadegh in Iran in 1953, after they threw out the dictator's father, the Shah's old man. They hated him. That's why they elected Mossadegh. They did not release the telegrams that went between Winston Churchill, a fat little ugly slob smoking a cigar that morons and imbeciles look up to, and Kermit Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt's grandson. They didn't release these until around 2013, that Churchill sends to Roosevelt that we have to overthrow Mossadegh because Mossadegh had the nerve to say that oil in Iran does not belong to Anglo-Iranian Oil, better known today as BP, or Standard Oil, better known today as ExxonMobil. It belongs to the Iranian people. No, it doesn't. They overthrew the government. They brought in that shithead, the Shah, and the Savak, the secret police that made the SS look good. So when this revolution happened, they had had enough of the Shah. I knew it was real. That's when I became a political atheist, and that's when I started buying gold and at $166 an ounce. I said, this thing is real. It's going to keep going. They, just like you said, they taught us to hate the Russians. They taught us to hate the Iranians, and 99% of the people swallow the crap and buy the crap. And there's no way you're going to, again, we wrote here again, there's no way you're going to defeat Iran. You couldn't beat the Vietnamese. All right? We wrote back then, third world country. These are the Persians. They're very advanced scientifically, technologically, and militarily. Oh, and then you couldn't beat the Afghans, third world country. Then America couldn't beat Iraq. What makes you think you're going to... Iran is winning the war.
Whatever one thinks of Celente's historical argument, the current disruption is measurable. The Energy Information Administration says shipping through the Strait of Hormuz remains severely constrained through August. The agency estimates that global petroleum inventories fell by approximately 4.2 million barrels per day during the second quarter, with another major decline expected during the third. Brent crude began the second quarter above $100 before falling as negotiations raised expectations that tanker traffic could resume. But renewed military strikes brought volatility back. This matters because Hormuz is not merely a regional passage. In normal conditions, approximately 1/5 of the world's petroleum liquids move through it. Higher oil prices can affect American gasoline, diesel, aviation, shipping, food production, and inflation. This does not establish that Iran is winning. It demonstrates that even a militarily superior United States cannot isolate itself from the economic costs of prolonged regional conflict.
The power dynamic is that, as we've been writing in the Trends Journal, the 20th century was the American century, but the 21st century is going to be the Chinese century. The business of America is war. The business of China is business. You got it? Now, again, in tracking trends, it's the understanding of where we are, how we got here, and where we're going. The Western nations gave China, because they wanted cheap labor, all the high-tech and heavy industry technology they never had. Who's leading the world in EVs? Who's leading the world in batteries and alternative energy? Keep going down the list. China. Remember how great BMW was doing, and Volkswagen, and all those Porsches and everything, all the cars and all the money that the Western nations were making when they went into China, and China's economy started going up, and they were making a fortune selling all their vehicles and clothing and on and on. No more. No more. China doesn't need you. China's going to be leading the world, and that's what Xi's going to be telling Trump. And again, there's no way in the world the Americans can't beat the Iranians. Yeah, you don't have to be good at math to figure this out. There are 1.4 billion Chinese versus 343 million Americans. And let's go back again. Trends are born, they grow, they mature, reach old age, and die. Go back 25 years ago. Some 10% of Chinese 18-year-olds went to college. Look it up now. Nearly 70%. And unlike America, where they're taking courses in transgender studies and other things like that, no. She is going to tell Trump, you're not the exceptionals anymore. We're in charge. You're not going to tell us what to do. That, to me, is what's going to happen. By the facts, by the data and the facts, China's going to be number one. And you're also going to be looking at the death of the dollar. Again, the business of America's war. We became the country our founding fathers fought against, where the sun never sets on the British Empire. All their wars, what happened after World War I? End of the pound, up with the dollar. Now, with this going on, and you're seeing with the treasuries and the debt level of the United States, it's not 40 trillion, by the way. According to Fortune magazine and others, when you put in Social Security and all the other government debt, it's more like $126 trillion. There's no way they could pay this off. So there's going to be the death of the dollar. And we're very bullish on gold and silver, by the way. And it's just going to keep going up. It's ups and downs, but you know, it's going to keep going up.
The evidence presents a more complicated picture than complete Chinese dominance. Stanford's 2026 AI Index found that the United States still produced more top-tier models and held more high-impact patents. But China led in AI publication volume, citations, total patent output, and industrial robot installations. The performance gap between the leading American and Chinese models has also become remarkably small. Celente may be premature in declaring a winner, but his underlying warning remains. Technological leadership requires manufacturing capacity, energy, infrastructure, skilled workers, and sustained investment, not merely the most powerful model in a laboratory.
When the people get back into the reality of things and the reality of how overvalued the equity markets are, the S&P 500. By the way, Google it up. 3 companies, BlackRock, State Guard, and State Street and Vanguard. BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. Own the value about 88% of the S&P 500. 3 companies. Now, 1% of Americans own 54% of the equity markets. 1%. You put the 10% in, 93%. Okay, so you got a small club that's running the show. So that's what we're looking for. And again, my greatest fear, as I say, only by the facts, when all else fails, they take you to war. The Great Depression, the dot-com bust, to keep going on through history.
Celente's most dramatic predictions remain exactly that, predictions. A depression, a deliberate attack, or the imminent death of the dollar is not inevitable. But the pressures behind his warning are real. Federal debt has crossed $40 trillion. Interest costs are consuming more of the budget. Disruption around the Strait of Hormuz continues to affect global energy flows. And although the United States still leads important areas of artificial intelligence, China possesses formidable advantages in manufacturing, batteries, electric vehicles, patents, and industrial automation. The development to watch is whether Washington can reduce the economic cost of its overseas commitments while continuing to invest in the foundations of power at home. America has not suddenly stopped being a superpower, but strength can be lost gradually when military ambition expands faster than economic capacity. What should Washington prioritize now? Preserving its existing global commitments, or rebuilding the industrial strength required for the competition ahead? Subscribe for more evidence-based analysis of the forces reshaping global power.